Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Dr. Adam Tice here. Welcome to the office hour session today. And today's topic is the wonderful topic of Ayurvedic digestion. So I want to go give some different perspective on digestion. I talk about digestion a lot every single day. And the Ayurvedic sciences are actually what is informing me and the way that I individualize things. Um, and so I want to introduce this to you because this is something that me personally, I clinically do a lot, and this is how I personalize. And so I wanted to talk about this a little bit. For some of you guys, this will be an introduction to something completely different, a whole new universe of Ayurveda. And for others of you, you may have been introduced to these teachings, but we can meditate, contemplate, discuss, and go deeper on these things because you can always go deeper into the system of Ayurveda. The science is thousands of years old. Each little aspect of the Ayurveda is a highly sophisticated science and highly meticulous, and we're just going to scratch the tip of the surface. We're going to touch the tip of the iceberg today, guys, because this is too big of a topic to do in just one single office hour session. So kind of want to just open the conversation. This is the secret ingredient. Ayurveda is the secret ingredient to personalizing medicine. It's the secret ingredient to personalized medicine and to personalized prescription and to looking into how to um, really, really dial in someone's lifestyle and really, really look at, specific foods that are going to be good for a person. But even before we do that, I think we should look. What I want to do today is go through and give you guys an introduction to the Ayurvedic digestive sciences, do a little bit of compare and contrast between Western kind of like regular diet approaches, right? Where everything's focused on, calories and proteins and carbs and fats and, food allergies and food intolerances and enzymes and all this kind of stuff. That's Western uh, dietary science. The Ayurvedic dietary science is different. There is a completely different way of looking at things. So I want to go through and just touch on some of the main kind of components of Ayurveda, and then see what questions come out of that, and then we'll go deeper. So the Ayurvedic digestion is is really, really important here. Ayurveda, for those of you guys who do not know, is a separate and distinct ancient system of medicine that comes from ancient India. This system of medicine is highly sophisticated. It's been used for thousands of years. Written record of, you'll see, between 5 and 6,000 years. I know there are oral records, especially in the south of India, going back as far as 50 and 60,000 years. So wrap your mind around that. It's an old, ancient tradition. It's an old, ancient lifestyle. They're highly sophisticated branches of Ayurveda, including surgery and pediatrics and organ transplants and things that we definitely did not learn about in school. They wanted us to think that, 3, 4, 5,000 years ago, everybody was banging rocks together and like grunting at each other. But I don't think that's quite accurate, because there are other historical record that tell us differently, that tell us that there's highly sophisticated look at medicine. So Ayurveda is really the look at this is really the look at individualized medicine. So Ayurveda is really there are three words that I need to introduce, really one word and then three more words. Dosha. We're balancing doshas. We're balancing an individual's constitution. So there are very, very different constitutional types. Some people are like thin framed, small, chilly. I'm going to oversimplify these. Other people are, you know, big boned or bigger people. They have thicker skin. They have different hair, skin, nail. They have different, there are many different types of people, and they're going to fall into these dosha types. And the three predominant dosha types are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. We can do a deep dive into the science of the doshas, but let's say the Ayurvedic science is the science of balancing doshas and balancing what we say prakriti and vikruti. That's just to say you land in your body and you come in with a certain constitution. You live your life, you choose your lifestyle, time goes on. That original state can become, if through improper diet and lifestyle, can become imbalanced. That becomes the imbalanced state, maybe the current state called vikruti. So the name of the game is to basically kind of return you to your original state of health. That's the general approach of Ayurveda. That's the way that I approach naturopathy, because I learned Ayurveda before I learned naturopathy. I learned Ayurvedic sciences long time ago, lifetimes ago. Just kidding. Kind of kidding. Lifetimes ago. I studied Ayurvedic sciences before I went to naturopathic medical school. So that was my first base layer of information. So then later on, as I went to naturopathic medical school, learned all the sciences and the pathologies and the medicine part of it, it still, for me, goes through the Ayurvedic lens. So it's kind of baked into my thought process, and that's what I'm hoping to transmit a little bit of today. Because the Ayurvedic science is highly sophisticated. It takes into account much, much more than just carbs and fats and proteins. It takes into account, other subtle forms of digestion. Ayurveda recognizes that the digestive process takes place. We have to digest life. It's not just the food that we eat. So we have many different bodies, and they're nested on top of each other. There's physical body. We say food body. That's the one that we're always talking about, the physical body, the food body. But we also have the pranamaya, manamaya, vijnanamaya. Those are fancy words to say we have mental bodies, intellectual bodies, breath bodies, emotional bodies, spiritual bodies, and all of these things are nested and become what you call you. You are the totality of all of those things. And each one of those layers, as we come out from our being like this food body has a certain layer of nutrition that it needs. It needs fats and carbs and proteins and those things. It needs also, the body also needs to be nourished in each one of those layers. So the breath body needs to be nourished by proper breathing and proper oxygenation, proper prana flow, which is going to inform the nervous system and then inform the endocrine system and all the other signaling systems in the body. We need the proper breathing. You need the proper thinking, proper mental hygiene, we might say, in the mind. We have to digest all the drama, trauma, stress that happens to us in our life. That has to be digested. Okay, so this concept of digestion is greater than just the food body digestion. And this has to be happening. You have to be digesting life like all the time. Otherwise, if there's something, it's kind of a two-way street. If something happens it can go both ways. Imbalance can come from both ways. It can come from the food body state, from improper diet, poor nutrition, undernourishment, just wrong food combining, just poor lifestyle and wrong choices for you, like means not harmonizing and not creating health. And then that can start to derange the mind a little bit. It can start to derange the spirit a little bit. Yes, food can have all these issues and create these issues in these other bodies. Same way it can come from the other way. If drama, trauma, life stress deranges, it deranges one of the other subtle bodies, the mental body, the intellectual body, the emotional body. And if that goes on for some time, that will eventually come down and be made manifest in the food body, in the physical body somewhere. And we can address it at that level, but we will eventually have to backtrack and find the root cause of that. Sometimes the root cause is metabolic, is physical. Sometimes the root cause is in one of the subtle bodies. So we really need to work, and this is how I think, like long term, like this definitely doesn't come out when you initially take a case, right? People usually need to eliminate symptoms, get people feeling better, these kinds of things. And that's what most people actually want. And then they're like, okay, I'm good, doc. I'll see you later. I'm like, okay, cool. But there are a certain percentage of us that want to go deeper. And if you're watching this and you're still watching this, then you're one of those people that is interested in going deeper. And sometimes finding the root cause of something, it might be in one of these subtle bodies out here in the breath body, through improper breathing and improper prana flow. Could be in the emotional body, just emotional stress, emotional things that are going on in the system, drama, trauma, life that's not getting digested properly. It's not getting assimilated, and then that's how we end up with depressions and anxieties when the mind gets like stuck in those loops, and that will eventually trickle down and affect the digestion and the physical apparatus. So we really have to think, guys, from star to cell, from sun to cell. This is like the whole full story of the digestion, like for real. So that greater understanding of digestion comes from the Ayurvedic lineage, where that's where we need to understand, because if you're talking whole person medicine, that's what we need to do. Sometimes you can fix things at the food body level, and again, it'll eliminate symptoms and people go on, they'll be happy with that. Most people, that's the level. Again, I keep kind of like picking on this like functional medicine layer, but that's where that level is. And that's where like a lot of folks are. And it's like, okay, just eliminate my symptoms. Let me go on with my life. Okay, good. Okay, cool. But again, there's another group of us, that people that want to go deeper, and we're really interested in whole person health and whole person healing. And this is the kind of thing, as parents, we need, if we, nobody told us this stuff. Nobody told me this stuff when I was 8 years old or 10 years old going to school. Oh, Adam, you need to learn how to, you need to learn how to digest the stress that kids have at school, the stress that they have from their friends, and all the little dramas and traumas that might seem kind of funny on the outside, but that stuff can cause issues in the young minds if that is not digested properly and assimilated properly. And Ayurveda is full of mental, emotional, spiritual tools for digesting life. So first of all, this introduction to the greater understanding of digestion is really what I want to transmit. It's one of the main things. I'm going to go through another couple of particulars and give you, a little bit more kind of understanding of other ways that we're looking at digestion. So this is kind of the big taste. Ayurveda breaks down foods in by different qualities, and it's highly sophisticated. I don't think we need to go into that and drill down that deep, but it looks on particular tastes, the particular energetics of food, the post-digestive effects, these kinds of things Ayurveda considers. So we're looking at the taste and the food energetics, the general qualities of the food. Is it going to balance a particular dosha, a vata, a pitta, a kapha? And this is the kind of thing you can look up anywhere. It's like, what are vata balancing foods? What are pitta balancing foods? What are kapha balancing foods? You can look all that up. So that's kind of like textbook knowledge. The application of this is more kind of what I'm interested in doing, at least transmitting right now in today's session. And your individual dosha, which we'll have, well, I'll put there are many dosha questionnaires where you can identify. And if you've never looked up and kind of learned about your dosha or understood what your dosha type is, which dosha just means constitution, just that's all it means. It's going to help you make individualized recommendations and decisions based on your lifestyle. And the Ayurvedic lifestyle covers, we need to know the dosha type. We're just talking about food types right now. Most people are not a pure dosha. Nobody's really like pure vata or pure pitta or pure vata, pitta, kapha. Nobody's pure one dosha. Most people are a blend. They're usually a blend of two, and then there's one kind of um, you see what I'm saying? It's like the vata and the pitta and kapha, we mix those all together, and everybody has just the right amount of what they need. Some people have like 3+ vata, 2+ kapha, 1+ pitta. And so we can kind of know that person is, that there will be two predominant doshas. So it'll be like vata pitta, vata kapha, this kind of thing. So then again, we can make individualized prescriptions. So the diet game is about balancing those out. The taste energetic thing is something that I want to introduce. It's very different. And so sometimes this is like when somebody feels like they're not nourished or something like that. Well, sometimes they want to go to look and make sure they got proteins and fats and getting the macros, and again at the food level, physical level, which is a lot of times mostly what we're talking about. And most times we pretty much stay there. But to go deeper into this, we're looking, if you really want to balance flavored profile and really be nourishing all of the energetic bodies, we need to have all the 6 tastes. The 6 tastes: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, pungent, astringent. Just kind of check, 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 check. Sweet, sour, salty, bitter, pungent, astringent. Each one of these is going to have different qualities, and the body actually needs all of these taste profiles to hit the tongue and then send some energetic signals down through the digestive apparatus that all the kind of energetic needs are being met. I can't really go too much past this point without saying that this is about really, it's balancing doshas, but to translate that a little bit more, we're balancing the elements in the body. Each dosha corresponds, each constitutional type has different elements. So the water, the earth, the water, the fire, the air, the ether. Each dosha is going to have different components of that. So the kapha type is going to be more earthy and watery. The pitta type is going to be more fiery. The vata type is going to be more airy, have more of that air element. So what do you do to balance a vata? You soothe that person and you ground that person with kapha characteristics. What do you do with the person that is so heavy and too much earth element? For example, obesity, diabetes, things like that. That person needs more fire and air to burn off some of that earth and bring that balance, restore that balance. And again, what does that individual's balance look like? It looks like their base layer constitution called their prakriti. And that can be identified a couple of ways. One easy way on the user end of it, on the consumer end of it, we can do just a dosha quiz, a dosha analysis. But the real way, the best way that I like to do, especially when in office, is via the pulse diagnosis. And this is how you can really tell, looking and checking the 1, 2, 3 levels of pulse on left and right side. And we can get some glimpse into dosha type, but a lot more from that also. But the dosha type can be, and the body won't lie, the pulse won't lie. Vasant Lad taught me this pulse diagnosis science. And if for those of you guys who do not know who Vasant Lad is, he's an amazing individual. He ran the Ayurvedic Institute in Santa Fe for many, many years. He recently relocated to the East Coast. He's in Asheville. He is a tremendous, tremendous human being. And he's the real deal. He was one of the first, he was really the guy that brought Ayurveda to the West, really. There are a handful of other kind of, well-known Ayurvedic teachers. The ones that I've spent the most time with are David Frawley and Vasant Lad. These guys they teach how to find the dosha via the pulse, the Ayurvedic pulse diagnosis. So then what we'll usually do is kind of corroborate like pulse diagnostic findings with dosha questionnaire findings upon, and in the ideal situation with a physical intake. And I can kind of get this information out. And then you can prescribe. So you yourself can look and identify and start to make some decisions for you, yourself, your kids, your family, and start to think about this thing. Is it whole body nutrition happening, full spectrum nutrition happening? Do I have my Western dietary needs met? Yes. Okay. Check, 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 check. That's pretty like straightforward. Now this Ayurvedic thing, we expand our scope and it really opens our mind, really kind of blows the mind wide open into this whole other dimension. We're looking at things like taste energetics. We're looking at the balancing of the doshas. And this is where it's like one man's medicine, one woman's medicine, one person's medicine can be another person's poison, can totally derange the other person. So this is why it's like there's no such thing as a cookie cutter diet. So this is like why we need to look at the individual as an individual, and we can't just make cookie cutter dietary recommendations for this reason, because people are individualized. This is another level to it. Um, and we want to be looking at this. I want to show you guys one thing here. The Ayurvedic digestion, really what happens is the food is ingested. Here's sort of like Ayurvedic biochemistry, we could say. And then I think we'll go through this segment here and then I'm going to pause because I just want to meditate and think about this and dig deeper, and we can go deeper as you guys indicate to me where we need to go deeper. I will go deeper. Um, But I want to explain one other kind of difference about sort of the biochemistry, if we could call it that, of Ayurvedic digestion. The food needs to go through the digestive apparatus. I have one thing bookmarked here. There it is. Show you guys this picture in just a second. Food needs to go through the digestion and it needs to make its way into the chyle and the microchyle, which is kind of the food constituent broken down to its final part. Because then what happens in the Ayurvedic nutrition, which is what actually happens. Ayurveda is just like documenting the process of building a body from the cell all the way up, well, from the blood, from the plasma to the blood, all the way up, and it builds the bodily tissues. There's 7 dhatus, 7 bodily tissues in Ayurveda. And that's what the nutrition does. We eat our food, it breaks down to the smallest constituent parts, and then this building process happens. And this building process actually goes and builds the tissues of the body, the 7 tissues of the body, these 7 layers. And so we break the food down to its smallest constituent energetic part. And what does this is the digestive fire, is what we call the Agni. The Agni, to ignite the digestive fire. And the Agni in the belly, we have to make sure, and again, this will vary depending on what's going on with a person and their individual. There can be varying digestive fire. So this is number one. What we have to do is make sure the digestive fire is adequate to do this thing that we're about to go over, which is to build the bodily tissues, because we need to build from the plasma to the blood level, to the muscle level, to the adipose and the fat, the protective layers of the body, to the bone marrow and the tissue of the nervous system, to the reproductive tissue and the reproductive fluids, like this. This is how it goes. And in that way, the reproductive fluids are the most prized and the most vital. And we need all of that to happen. And that whole process takes actually about a month. It takes 35 days, about. Okay, so you are what you eat, yes, but you are what you ate, yes, and you are what you actually were able to absorb and assimilate. And if the digestive apparatus, if the Agni is stoked and we're getting all of the getting a proper diet in for that individual where their digestive fire is adequate, and then we are capable of breaking that food down to its constituent parts so that we can then go through and strategically and systematically build our tissue, healthy tissue, which is going to create healthy cells and healthy tissues and healthy organs and healthy systems. That's going to create healthy people. So if we have this full spectrum Ayurvedic energetic digestion understanding, it just gives us a better idea of how to dial this digestion thing in, and it gives us a bigger, more expanded understanding of life itself and how we have to be digesting all of life. That is Ayurvedic digestion, tip of the iceberg understanding, the way that we strategically personalize diet and the way that we strategically understand. It's not mysterious how the body is going to build tissue and build healthy tissue. It doesn't happen overnight, but it happens pretty quickly. And this is an introduction into how that process happens. There are, because at the nutrition level, there are a few things that need to happen. And again, we rely on the strategic intelligence of the body to kind of guide this process. But there are a few things that happen when this goes in at the bigger level. There's 3 laws of nutrition that are happening. Number 1 is what we say the law of irrigation. So it's like that's the circulation of nutrients and prana, of energy flow, when the digestive fire is functioning properly. We need that to be happening so that everything can be broken down, and then the body can take and distribute to the appropriate tissue where that proper nutrition needs to go. And then we can transform that into health, into healthy tissue and healthy systems. So all these things are happening, and this is explained in great detail in the Ayurvedic sciences. I think it's so cool. And I hope you think it's cool too. I think it will help it really helps to bring an Ayurvedic understanding and some of these bigger understandings about digestion and what the heck that means. And what we're really talking about, creating whole person health. So this is Ayurvedic digestion. I am going to encourage you to identify your dosha so you know what's going on. So then you can start to make some informed decisions about what foods you eat. And then deeper than that, the prescriptions go for like different meditation techniques or different breathing techniques or different mind-body balancing techniques. I mean, there are literally thousands of tools inside of the Ayurvedic sciences that we can use. And I just want to introduce you to those so you can get on that path if you're not already. If you're not already, it's super informative to get on there, on that path. And if you are on that path, then go deeper, because there's gold in there, guys. There's gold in the system of Ayurveda. Ayurveda is the original holistic health system and health creation system. It's the oldest system on the planet, hands down. And it's a tremendous wealth of information. So I would encourage 2 things, really just the one thing: identify your dosha and start thinking about this. Start looking and thinking, how can we personalize things more for you in your life and for your family? That's kind of the point. Ayurveda is the original empowerment system. And if you can understand that, it's an original personalized medicine system. It's an original holistic medicine system. It's just a tremendous system, and I have tremendous respect for all of the rishis, the saints, the sages, the munis that revealed all these sciences to us and laid all this down. And I'm definitely going to be talking more about this. So this is Ayurvedic digestion, the introduction, guys. Let me know your questions, comments, thoughts below here, and we will continue this conversation later. You guys let me know question, thoughts, where you want to go deeper here, and we'll pick it up here next time, guys. Adios.